I can't shut this
Ladies
part
and
down too quick.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we are two dudes in a rabbit hole. I'm David.
I'm Gavin.
And I am not a rabbit hole today. I'm Riley.
Today we're going to be covering the Super Bowl, the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Gavin, go ahead and start us off on this.
It was a great game overall. Very, very high scoring. I think all of our predictions were overshot. I don't think any of us guessed high 30s. And yeah, shout out to the Chiefs because they were able to halt that Eagles defensive pass rush. They didn't give up a single sack. So kudos to that. And then shout out to Andy Reid for being able to find holes in the Eagles defense and make them look silly in the second half. Had back-to-back touchdowns, basically running the same play, which is like a sort of a motion into a squirrel route, and they basically flipped it for two separate touchdowns. And even though they were down in the first half, the Chiefs played nearly flawless in the second half, scoring on every single possession they got. But I mean, on the Eagles side, they had the game well in control. It just came down to a few plays, mainly the fumble by Hurts, which resulted in a defensive touchdown. You just can't have that, as well as the special teams not being able to uh, control sort of the punt return because Kadarius Toney ran it all the way down to the 5. So you're already knocking on first and goal in your next possession for a team that I believe at that time was down or up 1. I think that was the score that put them up 8. But good overall game. I wasn't sure how Jalen Hurts was going to respond in that big moment. He responded very, very well. I believe he had a passing touchdown and I want to say 3 rushing touchdowns as well as a 2-point conversion. And that was incredible. And then the infamous holding call, which we're going to touch on later. But other than that, because that to me was like one of the weirdest ways to end such a great game. But overall, the Chiefs came out just more dominant, both offensively and defensively. I mean, their middle linebacker, Nick Bolton, was flying all over the place, making tackles, scored the defensive touchdown, almost had a second defensive touchdown, fumble recovery, but that was called back. And I mean, I just think that for the Eagles, throughout the playoffs, they were never really tested. I mean, they had the Giants for the third time in a row, dominated them, played the 49ers, who near the end of the game were snapping the ball to their running back as the quarterback. And yeah, so I just don't think that they were ready for kind of the offensive firepower that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, just shows that the Eagles weren't ready, the Chiefs were, and Mahomes is a monster, even on 1.5 legs. He's still a monster. So it was a good game. I just think the weird holding call way how it ended kind of sucked, but still very entertaining game in my eyes. I will give it to you, David. What is your thought on it?
I loved the game. Um, I'd rather see a high flying, high scoring game than a defensive showdown where there's only 16 points scored. Cough, cough. Rams, Patriots. Uh, Moving on from that, Andy Reid did what I said he was going to do, which Riley disagreed with me, and I was right. He made adjustments, and they ended up winning the game. Kudos to Patrick Mahomes for also getting hit and messing up his ankle a second time in the playoffs and coming back out there and being the gunslinger winner he is. That really hurts to say, but it's the truth. Jalen Hurts, man, you gotta hold on to that ball there. That really I think was the tide changer in the game. That being said, my tangent is now going to go to the officiating. The NFL needs to take a look at all of the rules and cut out a bunch of the extra bullshit. There's a bunch of extra shit there, and we all know it. When the refs have to have a sit-down with the commissioner at the beginning of the season to go over what calls they should be focusing on, you know you have too many rules in a game. Now, there are rules that I do agree with, but I think the officiating gets a lot harder for the refs when they have so many things to look out for. And it causes them to miss certain stuff. They're thinking about other calls. There's just so much going on, and they have fucking 300 plus rules to, memorize and understand, and then focus on a select few. Instead of having to focus on a select few, how about we cut out all the fluff and make it even easier for them? I don't agree with the holding call. Yes, he did cop up to it, but that could just be a player copping up to putting his hands on him, because every replay I saw, I didn't see the jersey tug. That was me. I'm not everyone, but I also see the ball overthrown 10 yards to the out of bounds, and there's no way he would have gotten there regardless of that hold. He's just slinging it out there just to get the call, and the flag comes in after the play is dead. It's a shitty way to end the game, and it makes me feel like that, the refs are trying to get their hand in on the game. Also, because I wanted the Eagles to win, whatever. That's just me. But I do, regardless of that and wanting the Eagles to win, I do think the NFL needs to take a look at all their rule sets and actually kind of cut the fluff out, because it's just ridiculous at this point. So, but kudos to Bolton on the defense. He was a fucking monster. Jalen, hold on to the ball. I think what served the Chiefs better in this game is their experience in the playoffs. So the Chiefs had the experience. They had the quarterback who had that knowledge, who had that time under pressure in the playoffs, been to multiple Super Bowls, and I think it ultimately ruled in their favor. Not to mention the Chiefs have like 30 different offensive weapons. So,
really quick, I want to rabbit hole this to Riley. Riley, who do you think was the best quarterback throughout the entire season that Jalen Hurts played that was not Patrick Mahomes?
I'd probably say Aaron Rodgers, and I think Aaron Rodgers actually had a really good day that day too. I think he put up 30-something points.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably it.
Yeah, I was gonna say either Aaron Rodgers or maybe Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins
earlier in
the
the
first
season,
round.
But right, but it just shows kind of the
Robo Kirk Cousins, thank you.
Yeah. 13-4 Kirk Cousins.
Couldn't make it out of the first round.
But anyways, yeah, so
the Giants, Kirk Cousins.
Yep. But anyways, sorry David, I just wanted to go on that to sort of
It's all
trying to
good.
prove my point, but
Yeah, and the Eagles, like you said, they weren't tested all season. Like, I personally think the best team they ended up playing throughout the entire season was the Cowboys. And yeah,
mhm.
we saw how that went. That being said, they'll have that experience. They did get tested finally. And now it's up to them to try and make it back. Riley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I have numbed my tongue. Hate canker sores. So for the entirety of this game, each team got essentially 2.5 stops. I think each team forced 2 punts, and each team forced a field goal. So 2.5 stops. Both offenses just kicked the shit out of the other team. I think the most surprising thing to me was just how good the Kansas City offensive line was. And I don't think they did like a perfect job. There were a lot of knockdowns on Mahomes, a fair amount of pressures, but the game plan was great. I actually don't think I was wrong, David. I actually don't think Andy Reid adjusted shit throughout the game. I think it was just a matter of they got a stop and a half in the second half, a field goal, and they got 1 3 and out, mirroring basically what Kansas City did, where they had like one either 3 and out or like got 1 first down and punted and then had to settle for a field goal in the first half. I don't think either team really got very good stops at all. I don't think Reid really adjusted anything. He just had the ball more than 8 fucking minutes. You know, they started with the ball and they had it damn near as long as they did the entire first half on that possession. With that being said, I don't think he even needed to adjust. I think the game plan was killer for the offense. I think both offenses were basically unopposed most of the game. So, I mean, 2 punts each, 2 field goal attempts plus the game winner combined between them. Like, holy shit, man. Both offenses just kicked ass all game. So I think it kind of comes down to my entire thoughts on this game was we're going to find out by like middle of the second quarter, if not sometime in the first quarter, is Kansas City going to be able to protect Mahomes? And that's going to be the deciding factor, you know, and how dominant is the Eagles' offensive line going to be? And it looked like both offensive lines were winning. So made it a pretty close game. It was good. And I don't know. I think you both hit most of the points. Guess the only other thing I'd say is I don't think there's any shame for the Eagles in this. You know, like it's Patrick Mahomes. Like he's sitting there 6 years in, but 5 years as a starter with, you know, Super Bowls and fucking MVPs and everything. Like you couldn't fucking stop Mahomes. Big whoop, man. That's fucking every team throughout the course of the entire season, typically, except for like 2 times, you know?
3.
God, I feel like I should have more to say about this. 3. That's fair. That's fair. Good run game from the Chiefs. I thought they stuck with it. I thought the Eagles were really smart using the short passing game to keep the clock going because their running with their running backs wasn't great, but they were able to supplement that with short passing, crossing routes, quick outs. Dallas Goedert had a great game. Juju Smith-Schuster kicked the shit out of the Eagles in the second half. He had like 6 catches, I think, 5 or 6, plus the holding penalty. So really good second half from him. Other than that, there was like a really blatant missed holding call or pass interference against Smith-Schuster in the second quarter on a 3rd down. And I think that was one of 2 Kansas City's punts. Otherwise, like their offense was rolling. I think they probably would have scored again on that drive, but instead it was like either a 3 and out or like 4 or 5 plays and ball back to Philadelphia. So I think first half was a lot of eye candy in terms of, oh, Philadelphia's dominating time possession, this, that, and the other, but it's not like they'd really stopped the Chiefs. They had a penalty that didn't get thrown and a missed field goal. It's not really stopping them that much. You know, I think they forced 1 punt otherwise. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is who we thought he is. I think Jalen Hurts is who we thought he is, which is an amazing story. And he's going to have to step into the Patrick Mahomes shoes here in a couple years when he's getting paid a shit ton of money. And they're going to diminish the talent around him because you only have so much money to spend. And Patrick Mahomes proved you can do it. You can do it with a little lesser talent on offense, a little lesser on defense, a little more into draft picks. And it's really hard. Maybe only Mahomes can do it because most of the winners of Super Bowls that we've seen are either like perfectly constructed teams borderline perfectly constructed, or quarterbacks on rookie scale deals with like amazing teams around them. So, yeah, that's about all I have. I think the whole penalty was whatever. He held him. The DB said he did. I don't know what replays you were looking at. I pretty clearly saw the jersey tug. A holding call by definition happens before the ball is thrown. If I'm a quarterback, I'm probably throwing that ball even further to emphasize the fact that my guy was held and didn't have a chance to get there.
Fair enough.
As being, I believe only 2 of the 3 of us ever played tackle football out there with pads on throughout high school. So you know, you get slowed down pretty dramatically when you get held in any way as a receiver. So yeah, see, thanks, Gavin. So as somebody with very little fucking experience, but at least a little experience, yeah, it pretty dramatically affects you when you get held. So okay, that's all I got.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap us up for today. We're Two Dudes on a Rabbit Hole. I'm David.
I'm Gavin.
And I'm not a rabbit hole. I'm Riley.